Welcome to the Beacon by Soul 33, teachings for your past, present and future. Good morning everyone. It is the 18th of December and I'm here in Auckland, New Zealand. If you are listening to this on YouTube, Spotify or the Beacon app by Soul 33, please don't forget to like, tag, share, let people know that this platform exists because it helps me create more resources for you to be able to progress your soul in your own time affordably and anywhere in the world. From anywhere in the world you can access me and my work. Well, I can't believe we're actually a week out from Christmas. The time has gone fast, but we're all here and it's all the way we are meant to be, where we're meant to be. And as I go through, the Monday mantra from last week, I had some things come up that were really big polarities. I experienced extreme kindness last week, extreme kindness in the generosity of a client that came and saw me at home in terms of her gratitude in the gift that she left behind for me. I experienced generosity with a friend taking me out for lunch that this person had saved up to take me out. I received gifts. It was really a beautiful week where I received in that space of intention and surrender. However, as I go through the Monday mantra, recapping it for you to look with hindsight, because remember the quote I mentioned to you last Monday mantra, we look back to understand life, but we must live life moving forward, something like that. So last week, your Monday mantra was, I intend, surrender, and stay in the flow. Now, the reason why I said it at that is because we had the new moon last week and we also had Mercury retrograde. And I did say that I don't buy into it too much because I don't want to create fear. It's nothing to fear. It's just really for us to just stay in the flow. Like, okay, this is what's coming up. I'm just going to, move through it, reevaluate what we want. But with the new moon and the last one for the year, we had this opportunity to be really realistic with what we're wanting, our intentions, but also not manifesting fears, because when we overthink fears, whether we're consciously overthinking them or unconsciously, planting seeds of fear in our mind, it can turn into something. And this is the part that, from the polarity of my extreme kindness that I was receiving. I said, check your motivation if any conflict or inner conflict arise. We want Mercury on our side to ensure we are clear on this motivation so that we can work together to converge in relationships rather than working to fulfill independent needs. Now, I'm someone that doesn't comment on people's social media, really. I don't argue with people. For me, doing what I do, and those of you who know me, I remain balanced. That's just who I am. I just remain looking, because I look beyond. I like, what is all this for? I'm not looking at taking sides. However, last week I found myself responding to something that I really believed in on someone quite famous's Instagram post. And I know when I do things like that, which is very rare, it's because Spirit's encouraging me to say something, but I typed what I said in a very nice, neutral way of what I felt like I knew. And of course, it received a rebuttal from someone saying, this is false, this is not true. And I left it at that because I was like, oh, that's really interesting that this person's come back with this when actually what I've said is also a fact. But the person that was trying to form an argument with me, which I didn't get into, I just went, thank you for your feedback, and left it at that. But I was thinking this is very fascinating because it's very unlike me to say anything. But where I was looking at conflict or inner conflict, I felt very conflicted inside myself that people were saying something that I felt was fundamentally incorrect, that they were missing a piece of the information that I wanted to contribute. So it really wasn't to fulfill my independent needs. It was for going, okay, this is what I feel. But there was a rebuttal back. So I just thought, no, I'm going to leave it. It's fair enough. Someone can have a rebuttal back if they want to. So I intended, I surrendered, I was in the flow. And also then Kieran gets an email. Now, I just want to say this because a few of us in my personal circle were getting kind of strange messages from people that were saying what they think, but it was really quite rude, basically. And so, someone had emailed saying something like, "I'm not willing to pay Gaia for this." Now, there's a difference between not willing to pay and not being able to afford to pay, because there's just no point saying anything like that, because what is it achieving? So I was thinking this is also interesting, because this person's motivation probably would be for me to try and change the way I work or justify what I do, but I wasn't going to do that. But I really thought this is a real stir up of that Mercury retrograde communication, where everyone's really needing to pay attention to the exchanges in terms of what are we giving in return for something. So for that person who says, "I'm not willing to pay," this person's never even seen me as a client before, or really knows anything about me, but they weren't looking at, well, what is the exchange for this? And this is where I also had to look at my communication during the week as other things came up, is observing, what is my exchange in this? Like, what is it that I'm saying, and what is my motivation behind it? So the question for you to have thought about, and now in retrospect, is, are you doing things only to get something in return, and what are the conditions? Or are you doing things understanding and communicating in a way knowing that this is a two-way thing here? It's not just your view, it's also something's going on the other side. I had a very, very full-on client week last week. There was a lot of spiritual activity. Friday, when I finished clients, I was so tired, but wired tired, that I didn't sleep that night. It was literally, I was so wired with spiritual activity and pain from my clients' energy that was released in my body from various illnesses and all that sort of thing. But what I noticed a lot with people last week is everyone's ego was either bruised, or they were in denial about their ego and receiving circumstances in their lives where people are jealous of them and doing something about it, and like really showing them, or unhappy about the person's success. And I'm not saying that jealousy doesn't exist even when people are just going about their day-to-day life, not asking for any attention. But I was seeing this a lot. So have a think about what I've just said. How did your ego play a part in what you received last week? And were you able to just intend surrender and stay in the flow with everything that was coming up? We are being asked at the moment to be patient and be balanced, because we are creating soul memories. So I didn't mention this last week, but one of my friends who was 40 years old passed away in her sleep. And the first thing that came up for me was obviously, how did that happen to you? Because you were so adventurous and so vicariously living life. We all vicariously lived through her because she just lived life to the max. And these soul memories were the impressions that she left on me from having gone to university with her. The first thing I did was go through all my photos and pull out all the photographs of her, and cried, because I was looking at, like, oh my gosh, you used to pick me up from places because you were the one with the car at the time, and you would come over and pick me up for university, and you'd be sitting outside my bathroom waiting for me to have a shower so we could go out that night. And I realized that the soul memories were not only just about us creating them last week. They came up, these impressions were starting to come up because I too had my mother-in-law's 1-year death anniversary. And there was a few other things which I'm sure will come to me as I talk to you about the recap of this energy. We really had to trust that, and trust. Remember, all of these Monday mantras merge into each other. It's not just exclusively, that week. It's like all telling a story. But we do really need to trust that our relationships are coming together for a common purpose, even if there is conflict. So those of us that are battling ego things at the moment, you are aware enough now, if you're here and meditating and doing all your healing work, that things are happening for you and we just need to stay in the flow. And what happens for you is what you need, not necessarily what you want. So if you're getting people disliking you because of, or disliking what you're doing, is it your ego, or is it genuinely because you're needing to take a bit of a stand and say something of what you believe to create the link of information, not necessarily to be right about something? And I could see this happening a lot with people having to sort of stand up for themselves in some way to say, hang on, you've missed something here. As we move through the week, the Soul Progression Oracle card that I picked that Wednesday morning here in New Zealand was the Opposites card. And this came up because it was in relation to exchanges. So Spirit was telling me this as I was writing this out, that we were having with ourselves, people, and what we are wanting to do. It's looking at the opposite side of what you're thinking and feeling, which means looking at the other person, looking at, okay, why, if I'm feeling this, what's the other side of things? That's why when the person rebutted me with what they had to say, I was like, that's totally fair enough. They can have a comeback, sure, but I'm not going to get into an argument because I could, that my ego could have gone, oh, well, you don't know what I know because I can see things, and which is true, but I don't need to say that because I'm just going to stick with what I feel. With Mercury in retrograde from the 13th of December till the 1st of January, we need to ensure that both sides of the story are looked at. So this means both sides of the conversation, both sides of what you're experiencing. Otherwise, you might find yourself in some sort of conflict. And this card is also asking you to do the opposite if you're coming from a place of fear or being disillusioned. There are ways of going about things that are going to help you converge like the two halves of the yin-yang symbol. So this is what it's about. We might be seeing all the polarities of everything, but actually it's all coming together. And your extended Monday mantra, knowing your motivation behind your intentions, help you avoid conflict. Conflict can be attracted to you through your ego. This then affects how people communicate with you and how you communicate with people. So this is why, in the past, I'd always find myself having to over-explain everything, like especially what I do for work. If people ask, like trying to let them know, I'm not just I'm not just someone that's a hand reader or a palm reader. There's much more to my work. But then there are times and places, so sometimes I'll look at my ego, is it being bruised here because someone's not understanding what I do and they're judging me? Or like in the case of the Instagram post where I made a comment with something that I felt needed to be said as part of the discussion, I just left it at that. So how did this pan out for you? Because I could see both sides of the story with everything that I was doing last week, including the death of my friend and various things that were going on with clients. And also the masculine feminine, which is coming up a lot with people. So it's a big time at the moment. And it's funny with Mercury retrograde. I'm sure some of you would have seen the Monday mantra pop up on Instagram and Facebook yesterday. That was me trying to edit it, to schedule it for this morning, the written version. But it didn't work. Instagram wanted you to see it first, but I deleted it because I hadn't even finished editing it yet. But that's just the nature of Mercury retrograde at the moment. We just have to be mindful and take a little bit more care. But we are here and we're absolutely fine. So this week's Monday mantra, which I'm going to get to in a minute, before I say, remember, I am always here for you, but there are different ways in getting me to help you in the way that you need. I know that there's many of you waiting, but it's always the right time when you see me, and I'm working in a way where I need recovery time. So when I feel like I can do more, Kieran will be in touch with you to say, okay, she's opened up more sessions. Like, for example, Friday I was whacked. There was just no way. I needed a couple of days to be able to get back to myself. So if you need me for anything, remember mini readings are 3 PDF questions. They're not for big life questions. They're just if you need guidance on whatever's going on, that you're needing another perspective, spirit perspective in mind. Those are a great way to get them, get some guidance, and I'll be doing those all through Christmas if you're needing anything. Soul Magics are on waitlist at the moment, but that's because I have to focus on them when I do them and going batch by batch, but that's another way. And also your personalized meditations. I know everyone who's booked them in, I will be doing them all through Christmas, so you will get your personalized meditations as well. So Kieran is the person to ask if you need any help or or ask her suggestion of what she may think that you need. And just remember, the app is only $60 a year. Traditional meditation apps cost about 15 to 20 US dollars per month, but I keep the payment link off the app stores so that I don't have to triple the amount that I charge, because the app stores take such a huge percentage. So if you're needing the link to renew or become a member, Kieran can help you with that. And don't forget, you get your certificate via email and with your membership number and all of that. And we have that system in place because I'm only one person. So those of you who are members doing the homework, I can always tell those who are meditating and doing their homework, because your sessions become very different. You're a lot more open, you're a lot more receptive, and Spirit's like, oh yes, we can give them more information because they understand. So now we're moving into this week's energy. I keep things of value and create a new reality. I keep things of value and create a new reality. So I was feeling a bit irritated yesterday. I was just in an irritable mood. And I know it's because there are things that are shifting and shedding in all of us, that we're wanting to create this new reality. So when we create a new reality with what we have, but we're being asked to look at what we value and what we have to offer first before we can create that new reality. So this may be something you need to do, or it might be something you have to do, such as towards your well-being, health, or purpose. So, for example, what are you doing this week that is of value to you? It may be something small. It may be that you're catching up with a friend, that you're starting a new health regime, that you're working towards something that you've been meaning to work towards. Like for me, for example, I was telling Kieran, I have only ever, in all the thousands of people that I've seen, had very, very few clients no-show for me, even after they've paid. And the week that people tend to no-show is this week. It's the week before Christmas. And so this is also about, well, what do you value? Are you going to show up for things, or are you going to let things slide when you know that it's going to be of value to you for now or for the long term? So how are you going to create a new reality based on what you value? And I think the first thing is really important, is to know what you value about yourself first. What is it that you have to do this week? And that's towards your well-being, your health, or your purpose. We have the solstice at the end of this week. Is it the end of this week? Yes, it is the end of this week. With the solstice energy, it's a real turning point, and I actually intuitively feel that this week is really important for the setup. We had the new moon last week, we've intended, that's all gone out into the universe. This week is that, what do we value? What are we really needing to focus on now? And it might be things that you really have to do. Like I know one of my friends is starting chemo this week. And it's not that she wants to do that, but she feels like she has to do that because of her cancer. And it's like, that's towards her health and her well-being. So what is it that is making a turning point for you this week? And it's in terms of what you value. And it's because there's this purification and simplifying life with quality over quantity. So what does your situation or a certain person hold in your life in terms of their value? Why is it important for them or that situation to be a part of your reality now? Why is it something you want to keep? This is all part of the reevaluation with Mercury retrograde, and how we are creating our new reality is by being able to answer those questions. Look at areas of your life where there has been a lack of progress or you are needing to work on, and think of how you can purify that. Like for me, for example, because I know this week is the week where people will forget or no-show or whatever, I've actually got fewer clients this week, so that if anyone does, I'm able to move things around, because I've done this for long enough to know that this is the week where I need to be a little bit more flexible with timing. just in case. And also so that I'm not stressed out. So, but for me, that's starting off the way that I want to start the new year, which is not rushed and not pushing people through because I'm so stacked with clients. And why, if you want to see me and spend some time with me, soul ceremonies are the best way, which is face to face in my home. So looking at areas of your life where there's been a lack of progress and what you're needing to work on, and thinking of it as, how am I going to purify this? How can I add value from what you're experiencing now, what we're experiencing now? How can I add more value to it? Value for your clients, value for your business, value for yourself, for your family, for your body, for your whatever. Your situation needs a new pair of purified eyes to look at how to paint your new reality. Some people are going to need courage and determination this week. You might see as you go through the week this come up in its own way. There are some closures happening, things that you might need to restart, that have been sitting there on the burner for a while, and you just need to do what you need to do to get to the end. And some of them are old past life systems that are even closing, systems that we've carried for lifetimes. And I think my clients from last week, you really understand this, because there was a lot of work done last week with clients. It was like Spirit had amped things up for all of us so that new systems can be put in place, from releasing the old behaviors but keeping only the parts that we value the most. There are also some things that we need to unlearn and let go. It's around where we have generated our power from, because you felt like doing it any other way would be a weakness. So where do you get your power from? Where is your motivation coming from? Is your motivation coming from fear? Is it coming from expectation, obligation, coming from thinking that you are weak? Or is it coming from a place of, I really value myself. I really value this, And this is why, when we get an email saying, I'm not willing to pay, it's like, well, you're not seeing the value. And therefore, if you don't, that's fine. But you don't need to say. You really don't need to say it. Support and abundance will show up this week, which is great, because we all can do with support and abundance. And I'm not talking about just financial abundance, but abundance in all ways, so that we can move past ourselves to receive the things that we value the most, but we need to know what they are first, so that we are reminded we are not alone. There's a lot of spiritual growth at the moment. My third eye and my crown chakra have been overly active. This is part of the wiredness I've been feeling, because it wasn't just Friday night I couldn't sleep, it was also Saturday night. But this spiritual growth comes from awareness of what is ending and beginning in your life. And you're spiritually growing because we are allowing these closures to happen and creating a new perspective. So I want you now, if you can, if you're not listening to this while you're driving, close your eyes for a minute. And I'm going to remind you that you are so incredibly valuable. You are valuable to yourself. You are valuable to everybody around you. And I'm giving you the energy now of people seeing that value, to really honor you for who you are, and for you to see your value within you. And from that space, I'm wishing you all the ability to create a new reality, which is one of grace, one of ease, one of power that's coming from a place of empowerment, one where you can bring and build each other up and show everybody else how valuable they are too. So giving you this beautiful energy a week before Christmas of bringing in all the things that you value the most, and that support and that abundance. And remember, if you need me, there are many services, get on the wait list. There will be a time when it's the right time to meet with me, whether it's on Zoom or in person. But for now, I will be here. I'll be recording Monday mantras. Like I said, whenever there's any kind of thing happening in my life, I'm still here to help you as long as I have a voice to speak. Your Monday mantra is, I keep things of value and create a new reality. I keep things of value and create a new reality. Remember, Kieran is the person if you need any help, soul33@gmail.com.